Wilson, and I'd like to read you some extracts from my debut novel called An Artist Muse, which has been published by Victorina Press. Excuse the tatty copy, lots of notes in there, that's how I find where I need to read. So I'm going to read you from 3 different parts, apart from the beginning of the novel, then apart from the middle, and then apart from towards the end. Hopefully give you a good flavour of what the novel's all about. Okay, so I'm going to start with the first extract. This is where we meet the main character of the novel, whose name is Clara, and it's the first time that she sees her muse. Art, and an interest in such, was an unnecessarily distracting pursuit for any young lady, but Clara had never adhered to any semblance of the typical woman. Art was her one freedom, her one escape, and she clung to it, surrounded herself with it, submerged herself within it. Her room of paper sheltered her from a world that was not yet ready to accommodate her. This particular morning was no exception to those preceding it, the tranquillity of the upper quarters being cruelly fractured by the scratching of implement against canvas. Clara was quite content to sit upon her bowed window seat, sketchbook and pencils to hand, clothed in the oldest and most worn garments she had, with her long auburn hair piled atop her head in the messiest fashion. This way she could capture the movements, expressions and appearances of the people passing beneath her window, and the features of that insignificant pocket of the world that she found herself in the midst of. Whilst she endeavoured only to paint that which was beautiful or striking, such subject matter was difficult to come across in a place where one was particularly unhappy. As she watched the passing crowds, she also found a sort of serenity in studying the many eccentricities of human life. This for her was not the material of true inspiration or enlightenment, but Clara felt at times that she could enjoy these simple observations enough to distract her from the inadequacy of her daily routine. She whiled away the hours in the deepest hope that she might see just one extraordinary figure that would make her heart leap with wonder, one worthy of her intense study and meticulous absorption. The problem was that Clara could never be content with one such subject for long. She found that after a time, even the beauty which had seemed so spectacular to her at first could fade. As fickle as the human mind is, Clara's subjects could only exist for a short amount of time before they became distorted by her own doubt and uncertainty. These subjects were also always kept at a distance. Her talents were kept a secret from those outside her intimate inner circle. Art could be a pastime, yes, but never a means of income. Women were not true artists in the minds of many. Therefore, she had to be content with her detached study and her unfulfilled ambitions. Clara reclined serenely in the deep recess of the window, her eyes still trained lazily on the street, but her eyelids felt heavy at the thought of the day's work ahead. Her sketchbook rested in the curve from the softness of her stomach to the bony arch of her knees, her pencil bobbing gently between relaxed knuckles. Already she could hear William making preparations for the opening of the apothecary, all the noisier in the hope that the sounds would rouse his sister into movement without him having to climb the stairs. But such attempts barely concerned her. She would occasionally humour his pretence that her aid was much needed, if only to make his day-to-day life a little less stressful. It was in honour of this small sacrifice that she decided to affix her apron and go downstairs. And she would have done so, just then, and with all due enthusiasm, had it not been for a sight that unexpectedly captured her attention. The crowds in the street below had grown deceptively slowly in number, and as a result, Broad Street was quite the heaving mass of travelling bodies when Clara next glanced upon it. Its girth was so meagre that many of the travellers were being jostled against the sides of the ungainly buildings, a raging stampede in a narrow gorge. But the figure that Clara saw at that moment could not have possibly merged with any other around it, nor perhaps with any other figure in the whole of the city. His movements were not remarkable, but it was his outward appearance that made him far removed from his fellows. His attire was remarkably eccentric. A white Shakespearean shirt teamed with scarlet-coloured breeches akin to those of the regiment. These were tucked neatly inside polished knee-length boots. His hair was a deep, lustrous brown, curved about the planes of his jawbone, so dark that his tanned skin appeared almost pallid. But it was not these striking factors that were the most notable. The eyes, which peered calmly from beneath dark lashes, were unlike any that Clara had ever seen. Such a dazzling shade of the lightest green, they almost hummed in their vibrancy and gleamed like a cat's in the pale sunlight. An unearthly shade, one which it seemed no combination of oils would even come close to emulating. But there was something else. A deep shudder rattled Clara's bones right to their core when she realised that for the first time in 3 years, the bewitching eyes of a passing stranger were staring right into her own.